it's Kai with Kaitaku, and today I am doing another Be Too Weird book review. The Be Too Weirdos are doing a tour for one of our own weirdos, Amanda Ross, which means I finally read To Astera with Love. And To Astera with Love I've mentioned on this channel a couple of times, and so I finally got a chance to read it, and it is time for a review. So first, I will say the synopsis. I will read that. It says, America in 2022, so the very near future. Drugs are legal, witches are real, and a literal vampire is president. In this world of boutique blood bars and policies that force witches to out themselves, 21-year-old Mercury, a male, just wants to live. He wishes that the ages-old feud between vampires and witches didn't exist. He wishes that his powers and his skin color didn't increase his odds of being burned at the stake. After making a powerful enemy, Mercury and his friends must travel to Astera, an annual gathering of all witch kind. They battle vampiric cops, evil witches, aggressive humans, and each other along the way as they struggle to make it in one piece. Will their collective power be enough to get them to Astera safely, or will they fall prey to their enemies and the laws that spell their destruction? So this, when I first read the synopsis, sounded like it was going to be a fun journey. I thought that we were going on a trip and that it was going to be, you know, your typical thing where you're going and you're trying to dodge the bad guys as you go. Excuse me. However, this book took a darker turn much quicker than I expected. So the book is told kind of in alternating news articles and then like the chapters themselves. And so we start out the book with a news article, which kind of sets the scene for the rest of the book. And based on the back of the book, it's not quite the scene that I was expecting. I did understand that there was going to be some issues between the vampires and witches. I did not understand to the extent. So I will say that if you are going to read the book, there's definitely trigger warnings for violence, lynching, police brutality, rape, implied rape. So there are some trigger warnings, death of a loved one. So there's definitely some content warnings that need to be said on the front end. There were several scenes that I wasn't quite sure exactly how they pushed the plot along. And I am a character-driven person. So when I read a story, I need to love the characters. And if I don't love the characters, then I tend not to really get invested into the story, even if you do have a great plot. I'm not quite sure what that says about me or what's wrong with me, but if I don't like your characters, I'm most likely not going to enjoy the rest of the book. This book, for me, I was not a fan of hardly any of the characters at all, and the one character I probably could have been a fan of, we lose pretty early. So I did take a little bit of issue with the fact that I wasn't a fan of any of the characters and I didn't feel that they grew any, and so that kind of made the book not for me. Now, if you're a plot-driven person, you can see a growing plot that's going to course over the next couple of books, because there definitely is going to be a book 2 that's coming out in the fall. And so if you're a plot-driven person, I do see where if you can kind of understand that this is the first in a series, that the plot may be there for you. But for this book, where it was when we ended, the plot also was not necessarily there for me as well. I did find some of the scenes and some of the violence to be a bit gratuitous for me, which I think everyone has their own scale of that. I read a lot of fantasy manga. I read a lot of seinen manga, which can get really dark, you know, especially like the Saga of Tanya the Evil, up here with the light novels. And so I'm kind of used to violence, but I did find the violence done in a way that I was not expecting going into the book. And so I think it made it a little bit harsher for me, especially when coupled with the fact that I wasn't quite sure how any of this violence moved the plot along, or what the violence had to do with helping our characters, changing our characters, or aiding our characters in any sort of way. So that's kind of my feelings on the book. I do believe there were several weirdos who absolutely love the book. And I think if you are not someone like me who stays away from a lot of media and a lot of news now, just because I try to protect my emotional health. And so there's a lot of news articles, things about brutality and police shootings and things of that nature that I don't watch. And so I don't necessarily want to read it either. So I do think that the story just was not necessarily for me, but I do think that there is an audience out there who would enjoy the story. Also, she wrote a book. Like, I cannot applaud Amanda enough for taking a leap and putting her work out there. Indie authors are so important, and I do believe that supporting indie authors are extremely important. And I am so floored by the fact that she was able to come up with all of this herself out of her brain, because fiction is just not something I don't think I could ever write. And so I definitely think that credit needs to be given to the fact that she wrote an entire book. So that is my review of To Astera with Love. If you decide to pick it up, please let me know how you like it. And let me know in the comments, what is a book that you decided on, maybe on a second read, like maybe you didn't finish it the first time and then you read it again and you were like, oh, I loved it, or a book you weren't liking in the beginning but you pushed through and you loved it in the end. So let me know that in the comments, what books those were, and make sure that you like, subscribe, all the standard YouTube things, and I will see you all next time. Bye.